Hey guys, what's up? This is DiscoBisco at DragTheBar.com. I'm going to do another hand history review video for you today. I'm here with Loving Your Ladies. Say what's up.
Hey, what's up, guys?
And we're gonna do maybe 15 or 20 hands, however much we can get through in an hour, or sorry, 45 minutes. Do you want to just explain to everybody like what your HUD is, or?
Yeah, I actually changed it around a little, but this is the top line, BPIP, and then the pre-flop raise, and then the aggression factor, whatever it's called, and the hands, and then the second line is the steal, the 3-bet, and then fold to 3-bet, and the last line is flop C-bet, and turn C-bet, and then fold to flop C-bet, and fold to turn C-bet.
All right, cool. Yeah, I'm sure if we need anything else, we can kind of just find it in the pop up.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, I guess let's just jump right into it here and see what we got to see.
I mean, basically, I just use the pop-up whenever I need it. And here, me and your Busto were starting a table. I just got home from a little party, so I was playing a little crazy. But anyway, so he raised on the button, and it was like at the beginning of the match, and I think I only 3-bet him once, and he folded, and this is like my second 3-bet.
Okay.
So I think it's a fine hand to 3-bet.
Yeah, I mean it's probably a spot where I wouldn't really expect this guy to fold though. I mean I've played with your Busto a little bit. He seems kind of aggressive, but I guess if you've already 3-bet him once and he folded, he probably won't fold again. Or at least not the second time in a heads-up match. Or at least he strikes me as that type of player. But yeah, I mean, heads-up, I don't really profess to be great at heads-up, but I mean, I would assume this is an okay spot, so...
So he calls, and we get the gem flop, so...
Um,
I just go ahead and bet, because I think... I mean, even though, like, the defending range that he's defending here is gonna smash this flop, like, he's defending ace-queen and stuff like that, like ace-jack, ace-queen, ace-x.
yeah, I mean, I think there's some ace-x that he's got, but, I think there are some hands, like medium pocket pairs, like eights that maybe, eights or nines or tens that... maybe he decided not to get in pre-flop. Although, being that it's heads up, I would assume maybe like tens plus, he'd definitely be getting in pre-flop.
Right.
But I think a hand like Ace Queen. I think this guy would probably tend to want to get that in pre-flop.
Well, I mean, not necessarily ace-queen, but more like ace-jack, ace-ten.
Yeah, I could see like an Ace 10, Ace Jack type
So
hand.
I think
So
I think I bet and play into a double barrel, maybe even triple barrel.
okay.
But,
I mean, this is the type of board where, like, I don't know, if he called my flop bet, I probably wouldn't really barrel that often, only because, like, I don't know, I just think when he calls, he probably has some random ace, or maybe like a queen that he might not fold for a second bet. Yeah, I think he's gonna fold like hands like eights through tens here. I mean, maybe not, but I mean, I would imagine he'd probably just fold those on the flop. But once again, it's heads up, so I can't be sure of that. But yeah, I mean, I'd probably just bet here, and if he called, I don't know. Generally, I just check on the turn because I don't think that there's going to be that many hands this guy's going to call the flop with and fold on the turn.
right. Well, I mean, if I'm betting the turn, then I'm planning to bet the river,
Okay.
bet the river. So I go ahead and hit my flush, and I think I can go ahead and continue to bet.
Yep.
So I bet 50, and he jams. Yay.
Yeah, I mean that's a pretty easy call. I don't see how you could really ever fold now. I mean, I don't know. I don't think I could fold a flush heads up.
Yeah, I called, and I wasn't. Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Eight nine of diamonds. Yeah. apologize about my dog, by the way. He barks at everything he hears, unfortunately. Yeah, I mean that's unfortunate, but yeah, I don't know. I don't think you played the hand bad or anything. I think it's just heads up variance.
Yeah. All right. So next hand. Alrighty. Kind of interesting hand here. Um, Me and Mr. Exorcist over here have quite a bit of history.
This is a rush table, right? Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to say that because some people have mentioned they wanted me to make some rush videos. So hey, here's a rush hand for you.
Yeah,
um,
I'm playing quite a bit of Rush. I'm actually up money in Rush and down money in regular tables, and I used to think that regular tables were easier. Or
okay. I mean I haven't played much rush if any really, so I don't know. I tend to find the regular tables to be just fine, but yeah,
yeah,
I mean against this guy, I mean what's his fold to 3-bet? Only 27. Wow. Okay.
27%. So this is for value, and we're
Yeah.
and he doesn't like to fold post flop. Like if he hits, he doesn't like to fold. So I'm not planning
Okay.
to like bluff, but
Um, so what's his? I guess it's a small sample, like 400 hands, but his 4-bet range is 2.4. So, I mean, he seems like your fairly typical laggy player that is definitely gonna be 4-betting as a bluff here a lot. I don't really like 5-bet shoving here because we're deep. I suppose you could call and play the pot in position, which I'm assuming is what you did, or we wouldn't have a hand to talk about. But I mean, generally I may just fold here. The deepness factor kind of makes me think that calling could be okay. You could make some sick 5-bet that's not a shove, and since you're deep, I don't usually play too deep, so I don't have too much deep experience, but like. I mean, I would think maybe 5-betting, like a small 5-bet here, could be more plus EV than flatting. But I mean, I guess if you flat, you can't really like fold post flop if you flop a draw or you flop top pair or whatever. So, um, yeah, I
right.
guess let's just see what happens. So,
Yeah, and then
oh wow, okay. Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know what else you can do here other than just get it in on the flop or try to get it in on the flop.
um, I what I was wondering about is like the sizing. I'm not even sure like if I should be betting bigger or like I guess I should be betting bigger to try to jam the turn,
Um,
or I'm not
I
even.
don't mind it necessarily because, like, if it is kind of just a cheap way for hoping he just folds and you pick up the pot, but at the same time, it might inspire some spew. Like some of his hands that he 4-bet bluffed you with could contain just like a nine, or sorry, like a 10 or a 6 in them. And so it could inspire him to like say, I don't want to fold for $48, and instead he might check shove on you with a worse draw. So I mean, in that sense, like I don't really mind it at all. I mean, obviously we're not folding, so now it's just kind of like a question of like, what might get this guy to spew, you know. So yeah, I actually like that sizing. I don't really see any reason to make it any bigger. So
Right. I mean, it's a 4-bet pot, and we're gonna be able to get money in somehow.
yeah,
And so, oops, um, he does jam,
yeah. Well, pretty
and
much a snap call.
yeah, I go and call, and
Uh, of course you brick, right?
yeah,
Isn't that how it always works? Yeah, but
uh,
yeah, I mean, I guess his play there is fine. I mean, I guess it kind of depends on his image of you, but a lot of times, like in a 4-bet pot, like check shoving king king there, like you're not gonna get called by too much worse, unless you have a hand like like a hand like you have.
right,
But
yeah,
I see people take that line all the time. Like they 4-bet kings or they call a 4-bet with kings and then they just ship over the flop.
yeah, I've had
And
that happen
and
to
it's
me.
just like it's kind of like in a 4-bet pot where ranges are so like well defined. Either the nuts or a bluff. Like it just seems like they're kind of turning their hand into a bluff when they do that.
Yeah, I think the weaker regs tend to do that more often than not.
No, yeah, I agree with that. I mean, it's usually is the weaker eggs I see doing that. They're like the guys that they're just like, oh, I can't fold kings, but like they don't really understand that like, in a lot of spots they should kind of just be calling with it instead of shoving with it.
Right, right.
But yeah, so I mean that one was fine. Just kind of an unfortunate turn and river for you.
So the call pre-flop was
I think
like,
the call pre-flop's okay, only because you have position and you're deep. But I mean, like in general, I wouldn't really ever just be like flatting a four bet 100 big blinds deep, or maybe even like you were what? You were like 100. You were almost 200 big blinds deep, right? Wait,
yeah, it was like,
you're like
uh,
175 100 or
yeah,
so, like
yeah.
100 and 165. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think it's okay. I don't know. I mean, I still probably wouldn't do it very often, but like occasionally I do flat the four bets. Where like I feel like this guy's four betting range here is either going to be hands like ace six or ace four or something that I have dominated, or it's going to be a hand like kings or aces, and so. I don't know. I mean, I feel like I'm only really crushed against aces, and some of his hands I have dominated. So, I mean, if I can play the pot in position, that's fine. The only thing I struggle with is like knowing when I should or shouldn't get away from top pair. Like if this flop had
Yeah,
just come like ace 7-3, like, and he just bets the flop and shoves the turn. I don't know. Like I feel like in a four bet pot, I feel like maybe I shouldn't fold, but at the same time, whenever I do call them down, they just always have ace king, or they
yeah.
just always have like ace seven or something. um,
All right, so next hand. Here I open twos. I think that's fine.
yeah. Especially if you've got any like whales at your table, which it looks like you have one or two that look
Yeah,
pretty bad.
like I don't know. I think we played some shorthanded. That's why the stats are a little skewed.
Okay.
But I mean, I don't mind the open too much. Anyway, so we get the all right. We get a multi-way pot here and flop a set.
Nice. Well, we can pretty much assume nobody has aces. I guess we can only be worried about nines.
Okay.
But yeah, I
And
mean, I just
check to me. I think 16 is okay. I mean, I could bet bigger and try to build a pot
um
with these two guys since we're like super deep.
yeah, I mean, I think like in a vacuum, like 16's pretty standard. I mean, but you could kind of take the mentality of like, hey, if somebody has like ace queen, they're gonna call pretty much anything I bet on the flop.
Right, right.
So I mean, yeah, you probably could get away with betting bigger there, but I don't think like it's a must or anything like that. And I mean, to be quite honest, I'm not even really sure I want to play $1,000 pot here. Just because I mean, if we do, I think we're always going to run into nines. Like for example, if you bet 18 here and then we bet the turn and they shove, like, I think we're going to be running into nines. So I mean, I don't entirely mind keeping the pot a little bit smaller sometimes here, just in case. But yeah,
All
I
right,
mean, yeah.
so we get raised in a multi-way pot, and these two guys fold. Um,
I mean,
Basically, like I like this guy. I don't know. He's kind of crazy, and so I think I think he definitely is capable of raising flush draws here because like we're deep. So I think he's gonna try to put pressure on me even if I do have like an ace X.
yeah, no, I mean, I definitely think flush draws are a part of his range.
And the only other hand that beats me is nines, and I don't think he ever flats with aces, obviously.
Yeah,
So I was thinking I could flat and try to get him to bet on the turn, hoping it's not a heart. I think
yeah,
I think raising here like over reps my hands.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely don't re-raise here. I mean, 100 big blinds deep, I might. I
Right.
mean,
Yeah.
250 big blinds deep, nah, no thanks. But yeah, I mean, that's a
So
line I generally take here. Is I just call his raise, and I'd probably just check call. Check call. I don't know. I mean, yeah, I kind of agree. Raising over ups your hand. Wow,
here,
now he's going for like some sick looking value. It seems like.
yeah, I was at first I was thinking of just like check calling, but then I got like this random idea of like raising and
Um. Yeah, I mean, I think this in and of itself is kind of like if you would raise the flop again. Like it's just you're basically saying I have aces, and I think this player, even though he's a little spewy, like I think he's good enough to know that like like you generally are gonna have aces when you take a line like this. So like I don't know. I think you're just getting him to fold everything here, other than nines plus. And I mean, even if he had nines, I would think like if I was here with nines, I'd be like a little like Jesus Christ.
yeah,
um. So I
I think
mean, I just usually check call down. I mean, I don't think that's that bad. So
and then he jams.
I mean, I don't know if you can necessarily fold after you check raise the turn and put $200 in the pot. But I mean, if you think he can only ever do this with a better set, which I mean
Which
could
yeah,
could be the case, then I suppose you can make the laydown. But yeah, I think the mistake was probably just check raising the turn
the
there because it just
turn. I mean,
yeah, it just puts you in that spot where it's kind of like you're kind of turning bottom set into a bluff, you
it,
know.
basically I just own myself here because like this hand was like I'm not sure if it was after that ace ten hand or before it. I think it might have been after it.
Yeah,
I think it was after it, and like I was like leveling myself and like thinking that if I check raise the turn, he might think I'm playing back at him after that hand,
and he might like shove a flush draw as a bluff or something, or like
and
shove worse than the nuts.
I mean my standard here would be just to check call, like you said, but
Yeah,
yeah, and then I just called and he had nines. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's not like I can fault the guy for getting in mid set there, but I mean, honestly, like he's gonna be running into aces there a lot, given the line you took, and just the fact that like you're 250 big blinds deep, like. Yeah, I mean it's kind of unreasonable sometimes to assume people are making a move in a 250 big blind deep pot. But then again, I mean, once again, he might take your image into account. I'm not sure what that image is, but if he feels like you're being crazy, then But yeah, I mean that's a big pot.
Yeah, I don't really like my play. I mean, I just kind of leveled myself here.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, I think it's just kind of a spot where I just check call the turn, and I mean, depending what happens on the river, I could find a fold. Like, if I check the river, like go back to the turn real quick and go back to his bet. So if
He
you
bets 88,
so if you
so
called here, the pot would be almost 270 or so, or something like that, and he'd have
he'll
like
get 280.
okay, so then you wouldn't face a shove on the river, but you might face like a
Like a
$200 bet.
yeah,
So
I think I can fold a river if it's like a heart or like even if it bricks, then he bets 200 or whatever. I think I can fold.
yeah, I mean definitely if it's a heart for sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But
definitely.
yeah, I mean if it bricks off like and he just ships it like
I'm not sure if I'm supposed to call that or
yeah,
not.
I think you're probably supposed to make the hero lay down, because I mean people another thing to take into account here I guess is like people don't really mess around too much in multi-way pots, like, and on top of the fact that you're deep, like,
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, the D from whatever, he was in the pot too, and he was deep too. So,
yeah. So I mean,
ma-
it's really not too reasonable to expect that like he's just completely gonna bluff off stacks at you in a multi-way pot. So, him raising the flop there, I don't know. I really doubt he'd do that without, I mean, I guess he'd still do it with a flush draw too, and just try and fold the fish out. Um, but yeah, that one, I think the mistake was probably just on the turn. But I mean, at the end of the day, set over set.
Yeah, definitely regret the raise, but then I got a call, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway, next hand. Da-da-da-da.
Is this?
Uh,
Oh, okay. You're deep.
this is
Okay.
rough
Yeah.
again.
I would.
Here I decided flat with 9-10 against an under a gun plus one raise. Usually I probably just fold. I
Okay.
mean, close. It depends on who's left to act, but here we got this guy who's pretty fishy, and then we got these two guys who are pretty fishy.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
I
I
think
mean, I think it's okay. I mean, I guess I'd probably. It's not something I'd do too much of unless like I'm deep and there's a bunch of fish at my table, like you said.
right, yeah, yeah, that's just
So
exception, whatever. So we got all the fish to call, get the dream flop, and he raises or he bets. The original raiser bets,
yeah.
and I think I gotta just call. I don't think there's any merit to raising. We want to keep the fish in.
Yeah, I mean, initially I was gonna say, oh, just raise, but then I thought like, this guy is firing a C bet into five players, and once again, like multi-way pot, like, like he's not gonna do that without at a minimum, I think, like ace king, and I mean, there's a decent chance he could have a hand like jacks or kings, and so like. I don't know. I think one mistake I used to make a lot is not differentiate very well between heads up pots and multi-way pots. And if this was a heads up pot, I'd be like, okay, raise.
Yeah, 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 definitely.
But yeah, I think like the multi-way aspect definitely makes it more of a call. It just kind of sucks because like when you call, some of these other people can call behind you with slightly better draws, like ace five of spades, or or they can raise you, and then all of a sudden you're in a spot where, like, if you call and then this guy just shoves or something, this guy over here, like, you can't really call. I mean, I guess you could, but it might not be the best. So I don't know. But yeah, I mean, obviously, I think just calling is best. But
So we get one caller. Um, I mean, not too many hands, but basically, I'm guessing he's calling with like any draw, any king,
yeah,
maybe like some jack X, like jack queen or some jack ace.
yeah. I mean, that's about what I would put in his range. I mean, he probably doesn't have like a set of fours or anything because he looks like the type that would just be trying to raise that now. Um,
Right.
but yeah, I mean these guys always just have some crummy king or some ace jack type hand. So yeah,
So
um,
here's where I get into a tough spot. He bets again, $54 into 84, and I wasn't really sure what to make of it. I mean, am I getting the right odds to call with a flush draw and a straight draw?
no, I mean the problem here is I think like you can't really call because like the guy behind you could ship. And then like when he ships, the other guy's gonna reship probably. Like, so I mean, I don't know. Like, you could call here, I think, if you were the third guy to act and the other guy cold called, and all of a sudden you're getting a much better price. But I mean, you're only getting, what does it say, 2.6 to 1 basically, and you probably need about 4 to 1 here or so. I mean, I can stove it real quick, but I mean, I'm pretty confident you're not getting the right price to just call. So let's see here. Let me just stove it off to the side. Just kind of curious what the price you would need is. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's going to be somewhere around like, um, let's just assume, just for argument's sake, the guy could have like ace king, or I mean, I guess it really doesn't matter whether he has ace king or kings or whatever. I mean, it's all the same in
Yeah,
terms
I
of
mean,
you
I
have to
still
hit.
have the same outs, right? I mean,
Yeah, king heart, jack spade, four spades, six club. Yeah, you're right at about 25% equity. So you'd need about 3 to 1 to call, and you're getting like 2.6 to 1. So I mean, it's not quite the right price. I mean, if you assumed you'd always get a lot of river value, then I guess you could make the call to try and make up for some of your or sorry, for your implied odds to try and make up for it. I don't know. I probably just fold in this spot because I just don't want to get sandwiched between this guy. Really, I just don't want to call, and then this guy shoves, and all of a sudden it's like Jesus, you know.
Well, I mean, I wanted to fold, but we wouldn't have a hand if I did. So I decided to go in the call, and ta-da!
Yeah, there you go. That's what I was worried about. Homeboy back here just shoving it in, and then I mean, no, it's just a question of like, well, I think now you have to call. Like,
Yeah, now I have to call,
yeah.
and surprisingly, he had a set of
Wow,
fours,
okay.
and bink.
Nice. All right, well that works. But
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, I think on the turn there, yeah, I mean, I think it's probably just a fold, just not quite getting the price, and you're just getting sandwiched a lot.
yeah.
So,
I wanted to fold, I really did.
yeah. Yeah. All right, what we got here? Ace four.
Oh, this is interesting.
So what's this guy's 62 fold to 3 bet? What's his four
Four
bet
bet.
range? Just
I
curious.
stats are,
1.9.
I think they're a bit messed up because he's actually a friend of mine, and I think he's a
Okay.
lot more aggro than what I have him at.
Yeah, I
So,
mean it's only a 600 hand sample. I mean I've had like 5 or 10,000 hand samples on people that like my friends had a completely different sample on. So I mean yeah, that's why
yeah,
sometimes I don't get too excited about a 500 hand sample or whatever. But yeah, I mean in general this is totally fine. So
I mean, he's really good. So I think, like I thought this would be a really good spot for him to like four bet me.
yeah, definitely. I mean, for sure. Like, I mean, I have no problem 5 bet bluff shoving here as long as like as long as like you're sure that this is the type of guy that would 4 bet bluff here a lot. In that case, this is the perfect hand to 5 bet bluff shove with. So
Um, I mean, I'm not sure if he like I know he's good like post flop and stuff, but like I don't know too much about his game pre flop, and I'm not sure if he was like if he like four bet folds a ton.
okay,
So I mean, I did five bet jam, and he actually had ace.
suck out, right? Come on, one time. Oh. Yeah, no, I mean that's a spot where like if I'm ever really gonna 5 bet bluff shove, it's gonna be in a spot like that where I have a hand like you have there. Like, obviously I'm not gonna 5 bet bluff shove like 4-8 offsuit or something. But like
No,
but yeah, like you've got the perfect hand for it. And I mean it's definitely a spot where I mean I feel like probably more often than not his 4 bet there is gonna be a bluff. I mean I feel like most players their 4 bets in that spot are going to be a bluff more often than they're going to be for value.
yeah,
So, I mean, yeah, I think just in general, shipping that hand. I mean, you're only in terrible shape against aces. Everything else you've got 30% against.
right.
Um, so yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's fine.
Uh-huh.
Just sucks you had ace king.
Yeah, and I think if he does decide to like four bet with like ace queen, I mean I don't think he would, but I think if he does, I think he might fold that. So
Yeah, I mean, it depends what he thinks he's 4 betting ace queen for. Like, if he thinks he's 4 betting it as a bluff because it's got blockers, then he should fold it. But I mean, I've done
oh,
it both ways. There's been plenty of times where like in this spot, I'm just like, okay, this guy's an absolute aggro tard. He's gonna 5 bet bluff shove me a lot, and then I'm just like, okay, I'll just 4 bet call with ace queen. And then there's times where I'm like, okay, this guy 3 bets a lot, but he folds to a lot of 4 bets. So instead of just calling him out of position, I'll just 4 bet ace queen as a bluff. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess it just depends what he thinks of you as to whether he's 4 betting ace
I
queen for
think he
value.
actually if he did four bet ace queen, I think he's calling probably because he thinks
Okay.
I'm pretty aggro.
Okay.
So anyway, next hand. Da-da-da-da-da. Um, here we got um, here we got raised and the cutoff, and usually, oh, I remember what happened. I was going to three bet, but then like I think I was timing out, and then I just called or something like that. I'm not really sure because usually I don't think I flat here with 7-6. I think it might be a little too weak.
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna say I feel like that's probably a little weak. So, but yeah, I mean, definitely calling isn't that good. But when you presto a flop, it's never that bad.
But I did end up calling, and then basically I was planning to check raise and get it in,
Okay.
and so I did. I raised it to 24. I'm not sure if that's too big or not.
I think it's fine. Yeah, I mean, I guess one thing I'd say is like when you actually have a pair with your flush draw in this spot, I don't mind like check raise getting it in because like some of what he'll get in are flush draws also. So when you have a pair, you're dominating his flush draws. But if you just had like say that seven was like a nine or something, and you just had the seven high flush draw, I might not be as big of a fan of just getting it in this spot just because like then all of a sudden his flush draws just have you destroyed. So
Then then I could probably just check call because he's going to be barreling clubs a lot.
yeah, no, I mean I think check calling if you just had just a seven high draw like would be better. And I mean another reason is because like people often interpret in this spot like a check raise is just a total bluff or a draw. Like so you're not going to get like too much credit when you just check raise in the first place. So I don't know. I mean, I think like when I have a pair with it, I don't have a problem doing that, just check raise, getting it in. But when I don't have a pair with it, I'd probably rather just call. But
So then he like re-raises pretty small, kind of.
I mean, that's a decent size re-raise, I'd say. I mean, I'd just ship
Yeah.
over. Like, I mean, you have enough if you have any fold equity, which I think you do, because like once again, like sometimes people will interpret a check raise in this spot from you as just a total bluff or a draw, and so they'll reship some really dumb crap, or they'll just make a raise as kind of like another bluff. So I mean, yeah, I don't see how you could really ever fold or anything.
So
So
just get it in.
yeah,
Yeah.
and he just had top set, which is really cool. And they just rivered you a club that didn't help you. So good stuff, right?
Pretty standard.
Yeah, I think the play there's fine though. I mean, what are you gonna do when the guy raising the cutoff wakes up with top set? I mean, pretty much any other hand he's getting in there except top set, you're gonna have pretty decent equity against. And if your shove gets a fold, even one time out of five or like one time out of 10, even maybe, like it's gonna help the profitability of the play. So I mean, just unfortunate he just had top set there. So.
Alrighty. So, oh, this is interesting. Really interesting.
Mark Karam. Isn't this the guy that plays like a billion rush hands or something like that?
Yeah, he's crazy. Anyway, so we flop a flush draw first.
Okay. Well, first thing I guess I'd say is I don't necessarily like calling out a position there. I mean, I guess it's not that bad. You've already put $2 in the pot.
With 10 jack suited, you don't think calling?
I mean, I kind of feel like it's similar to like a 7-6 suited. When you're just flatting it out of position, like you're just gonna run into a lot of weird spots where you're making some second best hands and you're gonna get barreled and it's gonna be tough a lot to call down. But I mean, when you flop draws, it becomes a little easier to play. But
So, would you just like fold or
I
three
would
bet?
just fold pre-flop. I mean, I don't feel the need to play Jack 10 suited from the blind to like an early, or really any raise where I'm just going to be out of position. No, I mean, if like one or two other people had called, I'd definitely call. But when it's just me heads up against the pre-flop raiser and I'm out of position, I just don't really feel like playing it because I just don't feel comfortable when I just flop a jack or I just flop a 10 and he just bets the flop and bets the turn and bets the river, and it's just like Jesus. um,
Well, I think I can. I think I can flat and like check raise a lot of flops where I have like a
Equity,
draw or like
yeah,
a backdoor draw.
yeah. No, I mean, I definitely agree with that. And I guess you can flat and check call one street with top pair and check fold if he bets the turn again. I mean, unless he seems, I mean, he looks like he might be the type of player that likes to barrel a lot.
Oh yeah, he is
So,
very very aggro.
so that might be one reason. Another reason I might not call is just because like. If he's the type of player that loves to barrel a lot, then when I flop a jack or I flop a 10, I'm gonna be in a spot where like I really want to call him down, but I know that I shouldn't. But anyway, let's just see what happened here. So
He bets kind of. I guess that's pretty standard.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
kind of
that's
the
fine.
routine. And I go ahead and raise, check raise. I think that's fine. I think I could have went a little bigger, a little smaller. I think it's
Yeah, I mean, I think it's okay. I mean, I'd probably like it a little bit more if he had been opening from like a later position.
yeah,
Only
but
be
like the
only,
thing is,
huh?
he opens a lot, and
Okay, so he still has a really wide early position range too. Okay, all right.
yeah. So he's opening like 6, 7 suited and stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay. And the only problem is I'm just not. I guess I'm just not sure if I can get it in here. Like if we had the ace high draw, I'd be like, okay, like we had like ace jack of diamonds or something. I'd be like, all right, whatever, just check raise and get it in. But I guess with like the jack high draw, like once again, like if he comes back over the top, I don't know. I just feel like our draw was probably dominated. Like, he might have a bigger draw. Obviously at a minimum, he's probably got like aces or something or kings. I don't know. I mean, I guess this is just why I don't really play these types of hands sometimes in these spots because I'm not always 100% sure what the best line is post flop. Like personally, I might have just check called only because like I don't want to check raise and then he re-raises me and then all of a sudden I'm shoving Jack 10 into his bigger draws but I mean I guess if he's the type of player that like you said he could have some hands like 6, 7 of diamonds or 7, 8 of diamonds then maybe you've got some of his draws dominated too. So
Right. Basically, that's what I was going off of. And against other people, I might take a different line, but against them, I think raising is. And like, I also think like he might like re-raise me with like ace and a queen, turn that into a bluff, because like he expects me to bluff on this
he
bluff.
expects you to just bluff a lot or just like check raise some marginal draws or
And
something or
I think I'll still have some fold equity, and he re-raised to 68. I think I made it 28, so he made it 68. So that's kind of big, I guess.
I mean, I'd say it's about standard for like another raise in that spot. I mean, I'd probably make it about 68 as well. Um, I mean, I guess you do still have some fold equity, but I don't
Yeah,
know.
I
I
mean,
just probably wouldn't think you had much. Like, I mean, I guess in this spot, like, he did raise in somewhat of an early position, and now he's three betting the flop, and I mean, I guess I just wouldn't expect him to fold here nearly as often as if he'd, been raising like the button or the cutoff or something. I don't know. I mean, I guess shipping's okay because once you check raise the flop, I don't know. You can't really check raise the flop and then fold. um,
yeah, basically, I like time banked a little, and then I was like, F this guy.
yeah, that's how every
And
good story ends. Is f this guy. That's like how most of these pots get going. Is f this guy.
and any idea what he had?
I'm gonna guess it was something really ridiculous if you said that, but nah, I don't know. Maybe pocket fives or something. I don't know.
It's really
Four or
close.
five, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even. I'm not sure how he called after I like jam. I mean, I
I
guess he does have.
mean, I think like when he makes that third bet on the flop, he's never doing that on that board with the intention of folding. I mean, I guess he figures like he's ahead of some of your draws, like if you just have a draw like you do, he's ahead. If you if you have just a set or a pair or whatever, like he's still gonna have pretty decent equity against those hands.
Yeah,
So I mean, I guess his play really isn't that bad. It's just the battle of the draws, and he just happens to have a pair with his. So
big.
binka binka.
All right, here's another pretty big pot, I guess.
All right.
Here ace four. So at the time, I didn't really have too much information on this guy, and he was playing like, what's that guy's name? Dimas or whatever.
Demos or yeah.
Yeah,
So he's kind of fishy like Demos or whatever.
yeah, yeah. So basically, I decided to three bet because
I don't really like it against a guy like this. I mean, or against Demos. Like just because Demos never folds, like his fold to three bet is like 25% or something, or like 30%. So I don't know. I don't really like three betting here. Like honestly, being a little deep with the guy and the fact that he's kind of fishy, you could just call and it wouldn't be that bad.
well, that's what I was thinking. Is I was thinking to three bet because like even though I'm out of position, he's gonna be making a ton of mistakes if I do like flop a monster or whatever.
Yeah. Well, I still
So,
think like in a smaller pod, he's still gonna make a ton of mistakes if you flop a monster. Like that's another thing. Like with these types of players, is like I don't really feel like the need to bloat a pot pre-flop against them with a
well,
marginal hand, just because like they make so many mistakes post-flop that like you can still like even though the pot will be $12 instead of $40, like if you flop a flush, you can still stack him.
right.
So, but I
So
guess
I mean,
he probably
I'm not
called.
sure. Yeah, he called and we
Oh,
flopped two
word.
pair. Yay! And here I think I might have bet a little small. I'm not sure. I think that's. I mean, that's just like my standard bet.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fine. I mean, I don't think you need to bet big or small in this spot. Like, if this guy's got an ace, you'll probably know right away. Like, he'll probably call or raise the flop, and then you can maybe start betting a little bit bigger on the turn.
Right.
Unless like you get cock blocked with like a nine or something.
That'd
But
be good.
huh?
I said that would not be good.
Yeah, that would be bad.
Yeah, basically my plan was to just uh bet like half pot ish and have bet half pot, and then just like bet pot if the board ran out good.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty standard. So.
Yeah, and then get a decent turn, I think. And
I guess the only thing I'd say here is like with like stack sizes, I might size it up a little differently. Like I think 100 big blinds deep, this sizing is totally fine. Like, but you want to stack this fish when he just has like ace king or ace queen. So like, I don't know. I mean, I think I'd bet maybe like 65 here, just because that's gonna build up a pot to the point where like you can ship the river. I think. Whereas here you're gonna have like $190 pot, and he's gonna have 197. I mean, I guess you could still shove the river, but yeah, I mean, I guess just a little bit more on the turn. Like 65 would make it a 200 and well, like a $220 pot, and then he'd have like 180 behind or 185 behind, so he'd be a little more likely to call a shove. But
yeah, I agree. I think I could have bet bigger on the turn.
yeah, I would just probably, I guess I'd just ship the river now. I mean, I don't know what else you can do, and if he has you beat, then that'd just be a cooler. But word. Well, I guess your three bet worked out there, but I mean, see, this is kind of what I was talking about. Like on this flop, like you could have still stacked this guy even if you hadn't three bet. I think like if you just check raise the flop, no way he's folding his hand. So and I guess I don't know. It just keeps the pot smaller for when you just flop a dry ace or you just whiff completely. But anyway, dude, I guess we're about right at 45 minutes now. So appreciate you dropping by with some hand histories for us.
Or,
Feel like you learned anything, or maybe
um,
not. If nothing else, we got through some rush hand histories, which I know pretty much all these were rush hand histories, right? Or
yeah, yeah, yeah. Most of them were. I think.
okay. Well, that's good because I've definitely had some people that have been wanting me to do some rush hand history. So hopefully, those
I mean,
people watch this video.
I picked like just the. I just went through some of the hands I played and like picked the bigger pots and
Okay.
yeah.
Cool. Cool. All right, man. Well, this has been a good hand history of you. Is DiscoBisco at dragthebar.com. Say bye to everybody. Loving your ladies.
All right, take care, one.
All right, cool, and make sure to tune in for the next hand history review video. I'm gonna be doing another one with my friend Dallas. So, all right, guys, hope you enjoyed it. This is Disco Bisco at dragthebar.com. See you next time.